finally found a reason to make a video on Rise. Although, technically, the footage in the background is from Generations Ultimate, but whatever. Chameleos is coming to Rise, and for the people who have never fought him before, thought I'd make a little video. Talk about his moves, talk about his breakable parts. At the end, I will show his armor and his weapons. So, if you want to see that, I'll leave a timestamp in the description or something, so you can just click right off to that. I kind of did this with Furious Shang, except I did like a half voiceover and then half like in-game commentary. I'm just gonna do a voiceover for this entire thing. In the background here, I'm just trying to refamiliarize myself with my basic combos in Generations Ultimate, and I very quickly realized that Rise has spoiled me, and I was trying to do a lot of combos and like wire bug jump while playing, so it took me like 10 minutes in the fight to actually get a hold on things, and by the time I did that, I had lost so much momentum that you'll see, it was kind of a rough fight. Also, I chose an event quest, and event quest Elder Dragons are always stronger, have more health than they normally would, so it wasn't the smartest idea, but he's in an arena here, and I just wanted to focus on the fight. You won't be fighting him in an arena in Rise. You'll be a Elder Dragon that just walks around the map. So this is Chameleos. Literally just a chameleon dragon. Kind of do a little run around so you can get a good look at him. I also go ahead and turn up the music volume here because I really love Chameleos' theme. Its theme is going to sound really nice in Rise, I can already tell. Anyway, as you can tell, Chameleos is mainly based around poison. It'll put down these like poison pools in the ground because it shoots out these globs of poison, a lot like PhookiNada. But what it'll also do is it'll use its wings to blow these clouds around, and it'll either gather underneath themselves or it'll shoot these clouds at you. So it is very, very easy to get poisoned against Chameleos, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. I made a big mistake, and I didn't bring any antidotes or herbal medicine with me in this run, part of the reason it went so rough. So you're definitely going to want to bring those with you on Rise. Luckily in Rise, you can refill on items at the camp. Can't do that in Generations Ultimate, so I was just kind of screwed and had to deal with it. You'll see I spend most of my time at the back here. That's because Chameleos' tail is severable, and I tried to show that in the fight. It takes a while, though. It's the very end of his tail, that looped part, that you can cut off. Also, most of Chameleos' body is not a weak spot. It's more or less resistant to damage. His weakest spots are his hind legs and his head. So Chameleos has gotten enraged here. When he gets enraged, he'll start using his tongue attack a lot more, which I'll explain later when I actually get hit by it. But he'll throw up this fog. You'll see that my screen has gotten a bit misty. And then he'll disappear into it. This is Chameleos' big gimmick. He can go completely invisible. He doesn't become intangible. He is around here somewhere. And then he'll appear out of the fog and charge you. There you go. You saw me get hit by a tongue attack. Whenever Chameleos' tongue hits you, he will steal one of your items. And when that item is stolen, it's gone forever. So, don't have anything too valuable on you. Things like the Power Charm and Power Talon, pretty sure that can't be stolen. It's never been stolen from me before. But he will take your more expensive items. In this fight, and it's a running meme with Chameleos, he likes to steal your ancient potions. That happens a lot. This is a high rank Chameleos, so he doesn't have all of his moves, but we're getting Chameleos in higher rank, so I doubt that it'll have any of its G rank moves. I am 100% positive that it will have more moves because Chameleos doesn't really have that big of a move set. That being said, its big gimmick is that it'll do these kind of stuttery movements, it'll stand still for a bit, it'll just kind of fake you out, and then all of a sudden it'll charge at you with just this crazy speed, that or it'll just whip around and hit you with its tongue. Chameleos' whole fight is this really weird, awkward dance of trying to tell what it's going to do. And there's plenty of times here where I try to counter its attack with Valor Stance, and I just can't time it whatsoever. So as you watch me struggle in the background here, Chameleos' breakable parts are its tail, which is severable, its wings, which are breakable, and its horn, which is also breakable. Usually when you break the horn, it'll also drop a shiny on the ground. But the other big thing about Chameleos' horn is that when you break it, it no longer stays completely invisible. It takes me a very long time to break the horn in this fight, because I was trying to sever the tail first. But I'd say you should try to rush the horn down if you can, because whenever it turns invisible, you can still kind of see it once the horn is broken. The way I cut this, I'm probably not going to show my equipment in the beginning. I'm using the Atalka longsword for anybody that wants to know. And my armor is not a mix set. I'm just using full white Fatalis gear. And despite this being a hub event quest, this is only high rank and I'm using G rank gear. You'll see me get pretty low, but for the most part, I was never in danger in the fight. That'll be very different for us in Rise. There goes my ancient potion. Because Chameleos does hit fairly hard. He's hitting me this hard with fully upgraded white Fatalis G rank gear. If I actually had high rank gear and was doing this, I'd be healing a lot more. At this point in the fight, I start to take it a little bit more seriously. I buff myself up and I start to get a little bit more used to the controls. Yeah, you see, I countered those two poison blobs and I didn't get poisoned, but then he just blows the poison back on top of himself. That is an important move you'll have to look out for. I'm pretty positive they'll bring that back in Rise. He'll kind of rear up a little bit, and then he'll fly into the air and shoot down a giant cloud of poison underneath himself. That's one of his bigger attacks. It usually uses the fog when it's enraged, and that's when it becomes a lot more erratic and a lot more dangerous. So unless they completely change the way Chameleos works, you shouldn't have to expect it turning invisible when it's not enraged. There it goes, invisible. And the way this works, you'll see it later when I break its horn. It doesn't just teleport from that spot, it actually flies up in the air and then lands somewhere else. I absolutely love the way it does that little stutter step the same way a real chameleon would, to camouflage into like a tree or on a branch or something. It's actually just a really cool monster if you ask me. I would have loved to see Chameleos in World, but something tells me that its invisibility would not have worked well in that game. It was at this point during the fight that I started to realize that Rise had completely destroyed the way I played Generations Ultimate. There were plenty of times where I'd get hit or something, and I'd try to wire bug out, or I'd try to wire bug onto the monster, but obviously those inputs don't do anything in this game, so I just kind of ended up standing there and taking a hit instead. Also, the combos work different in Generations Ultimate, whereas in Rise, you can just kind of mash out the main attack button for a basic combo. You can't do that with the longsword or a lot of other weapons in Generations Ultimate. To link together a combo, you have to press 2 different buttons or 3 different buttons in a sequence. So there's plenty of times during this fight where I'll be attacking it and then all of a sudden I'll just stop. To my longsword players out in Rise, you'll probably recognize that the Valor Spirit combo is the same as the Spirit Reckoning combo in Rise. This is where it came from. The Adept style of longsword and the Valor style of longsword in this game, they have the Spirit Reckoning combo rather than the Spirit Round Slash combo. You can see it right here. The biggest difference, however, is in Rise, there's a lot more end lag to the Spirit Reckoning part of the combo, the finisher. There's a lot more end lag in Rise for some reason, whereas in Generations Ultimate, there is not nearly as much, and you can roll out of the animation quite easily. Here I got my first knockdown. It's an event quest, so getting these knockdowns is a bit harder. I think this is around the point where I started to question if you could even cut off its tail because it was taking me so long, but I get it pretty soon. According to my friends who have been playing Monster Hunter since the first game, Chameleos is technically part of a trio with Teostra and Kushaladora, but it just didn't show up in World. So it made Teostra and Kushaladora look like a duo, or like a pairing, I guess, because they would always fight each other. But Chameleos was the third in that pairing, apparently. According to them, anyway. I'm inclined to believe them since they've been playing since the first game, and I have not. It's actually kind of funny that I'm doing an event quest for Chameleos, and there are no event quests in Rise right now, which is pretty questionable. But I'll be making a different video talking about some of the weird things in Rise that I hope change for the future. But the quest structure of Rise is definitely something that I think needs to be changed. The way village quests work and hub quests work is very different to other games. Even the games I haven't played, the older games, it's very different to those. It's kind of awkward. That wasn't a knockdown, that was just a big old stagger. I kind of doubt you've been looking down and looking at my felines dialogue, but you'll notice a lot of the abilities that my felines have is the exact same as the abilities you can get in your Palicos and Rise. A lot of them came from this game, and, well, other games actually, but the buddy system just reminds me a lot of how it worked in Generations Ultimate. Again, I didn't play the other games, so I don't know if they were like that in those, but almost the same. There's another knockdown. I don't know how likely it is people who haven't already played Generations Ultimate are to see this, but in case you're wondering what all that blue stuff is, I'm using the Valor style for the longsword. And the way Valor style works on any weapon is when you sheath, you enter the Valor stance, and you can hold that stance as long as you want. You'll dodge any attack that hits you during that stance in exchange for taking a percentage of the damage you would normally take. And you fill a little bit of your Valor meter, which is on top of my health in the upper left corner. Currently, my Valor meter is full, and it's going down, but when it's not full, it's a blue meter that goes up. And once that blue meter is filled, you enter Valor mode, or I guess Valor mode's a good way to put it. And that will give you a bunch more attacks and some crazy new abilities that you wouldn't normally have. For the longsword specifically, it gives you the Spirit Reckoning combo, but it also gives you a counter, where there is a specific frame in the beginning of Spirit 1, which is the first attack right there of the Spirit Reckoning combo. And if something hits you during that frame, you will do a super powerful counterattack. And that counterattack is equivalent in damage to a like level 1 charge slash from a greatsword. There's Chameleos' horn, right after I took off its tail, and there I get the mount. Now, I don't know how Wyvern riding is going to interact with Elder Dragons, so I have no idea if you'll be able to Wyvern ride Chameleos or not. I assume you will be able to, but the idea of riding and controlling an Elder Dragon seems kind of overpowered to me. That being said, although it's not an Elder Dragon, you can ride and control Magnamalo and it destroys just about any monster. Same thing with Rajang. Rajang, I don't really care how you say it. The monkey. If you ask me, Chameleos looks really weird without its horn. It just has a really weird stubby face now. But you should see here in a moment, when it goes invisible without its horn, it's still visible. It's just translucent now. Which allows you to find where it is and capitalize for some damage. Now, as you probably have noticed, I'm not really saying much. That's because there really isn't as much to say with Chameleos. Its fight is straightforward in this game, which is why I'm 100% positive it will have more moves in Rise. Because besides it just bashing into you, throwing down poison clouds, hitting you with its tongue and stealing an item, there's not much more to it. And just like that, it's over. Now, the craziest thing that happens at the end of this quest, I get a Chameleos gem from the tail. Come over, carve it. It's an Elder Dragon, so there's 4 carves. Very first carve, another Chameleos gem. But then even crazier than that, I get into the quest rewards, and I get another Chameleos gem. It's 3 gems from 1 quest. So, unfortunately, there's no way to preview, like, entire armor sets in this game. So, I'm going to pull up an image of Chameleos' armor from high rank, because, again, that's what we're getting. And I will show it on the screen. You'll see that Chameleos' armor has this kind of, like, wizard-looking theme or like spellcaster-looking theme. It's strange because you have the pointy wizard's hat and then like robes with armor. It's interesting. It's not my favorite armor set ever, but I think it looks pretty cool. As for abilities, at least in Generations Ultimate, it had full wind resistance, earplugs, and it also had critical status, which would make it great for a status build. It also had some fair slots. I have a feeling that it'll be probably a little bit reworked for Rise, but there's no way of knowing. That's pretty much all I wanted to do for today. This is already long for just a voiceover video, so I might need to cut up some parts. But I'll be coming back with a video talking, like I said before, about some of the weird things that I've noticed in Rise that I really hope they change, because otherwise I think Rise has been excellent so far. But yeah, I'll decide when to make that video at some point. I don't know. Anyway, after a very long hiatus, I'm PhookiNada Blair, and I'm back, I guess. What was my outro? Fuck it, dude. Happy hunting.